Welcome back to the Warehouse Podcast, everyone. My name's Elijah. I am here tonight, one day late, because I, much like the Orioles, am still getting into midseason form. I am tardy, and you might not even be listening to this tomorrow, but whenever you are listening to it, just know this was supposed to come out today or yesterday, since you're listening to it tomorrow. Um, I know that, and I know it in my heart, and so I wanted to keep it real with you guys. Um, I'm still rounding into form. Got a couple more bullpens to throw. We're gradually, just uh, building up a repertoire for the season, making sure we got all the tools in the toolkit. Conditioning is in check. Um, yeah, we'll get there. I think a couple more PFPs, couple more sessions of just throwing some light toss and some shorts, I think would be good for me. I feel good about it. I feel good about the upcoming season. Um, and yeah, it's working out the kinks, and I got my teammates behind me. They're there to pick me up when I'm not my best. And it's about building those bonds and carrying them through a long season of podcasting. I'm going to stop with all that. I hope it was even the littlest bit funny. um, I am here today. We're going to continue this 2025 positional preview. We love our reviews, our previews. Um, and I am picking what is really the easiest of all of them. For those of you on YouTube, you've got a bit of a spoiler here. Um, Gunnar Henderson is admiring a ball that he probably just hit very, very far on my screen. It is his Baseball Savant page because I'm going to be going over the shortstops. You may ask, Eli, why did you pick the shortstops? And the answer is because this is the easiest episode to record. And I'm going to see Paul Skeens pitch against the Orioles tomorrow in Sarasota. So I am prioritizing myself, and I am letting Tyler and Jesse and probably even future Eli deal with the consequences of that with some harder episodes. But for now, I feel pretty good about it. I like talking about Gunnar Henderson. I like what he brings to the Orioles. I'm going to enjoy, yeah, as much of him as I can until he's gone in a couple years, because we're not paying $700 million. It's just not going to happen. Um, yeah, so I'm going to do an ad read first, and I'm going to thank the sponsor of this show, and then we're going to talk about our golden boy. So, as always, Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA and college basketball to the NHL and UFC. Bet Online continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every three-pointer to hat trick, Bet Online has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. Bet Online, the game starts here. Much as the game starts at Bet Online, the Orioles offense, you could argue the Orioles defense because he is at one of the most important positions on the field. It all starts with Gunnar Henderson. The game starts with Gunnar Henderson. The Orioles team starts with Gunnar Henderson. This guy is so good at baseball. It's difficult to fathom. And I'm gonna zoom in on one thing for people online. This man is 23 years old, right? He is so young and he is so wildly talented. Uh, you look at literally any number, and he is, well, like I have staring at me his K percentage, his whiff rates. Sure, he strikes out a little bit, but he's right about league average in in that realm. Pretty much everything else is just through the roof. He is an adequate defender. We all saw him kind of get in a funk, but when he was on, he was a really, really solid, really concrete defender. Arm strength through the roof. He's elite in every single way. It's like just these 6'3", 220-pound people do not play shortstop, and shortstops do not hit 37 home runs in a season. This is like back in the days of Cal Ripken, like Cal was phenomenal because he was like even the littlest bit of an offensive force at a position that had next to nothing. Like these new exciting shortstops, Francisco Lindor, Carlos Correa kind of started it up. I felt like they were kind of the first of like this big wave of like now shortstops are these offensive powerhouses. Um, and we're seeing that continue now with Gunnar Henderson and somebody who's unfortunately going to come up a lot on this, Bobby Witt, because I'm going to be looking through projections for this coming year, and Gunnar is pretty much second in every single projection to Bobby Witt. That is not a knock on Gunnar. Gunnar is a singular talent. Bobby Witt is also just like singular and then a little bit more. Um, I'm not saying I'd rather have Bobby or anything like that. I'm not knocking Gunnar Henderson. I think that Gunnarsson, Gunnar Henderson still has a lot of room to improve. For one thing, like I just mentioned, the whiffs, the Ks. There is an element of swing and miss to his game that could get cleaned up a little bit. Um, but yeah, I mean, like, let's just talk about who this guy is. Let's back up a little bit. Obviously, he's got 2 years of service time at this point. It is already well regarded as one of the single best players in the game. I'm staring at Fangraphs. He put up 8 FWAR last year. That is a number that is reserved for MVP candidates only. That is not a number that normal humans approach. That is exceptional for a 22-year-old guy. It's ludicrous to think about this, but well, I guess, for everybody my age, I just turned 30 this year. For everybody my age, like we all look down on people who were born after the year 2000. Gunnar Henderson was born in 2001, and not just that, he was also born like in the middle of 2001. It's not even like January 2001, so he's like kind of an older 2000. No, it's not like that. He was born in the middle of 2001. This guy's ridiculously young. Um, and he's just performing at the highest level with like world-class athletes. It's you just stop and you think about this in the most simple way, and you have to appreciate who he is and what he does. Um, so yeah, staring here, I mean, very simply, like, he hit 281, 364, 529 last year. It is a 381 WOBA, 374 ex WOBA, so not benefiting from good luck. For those who don't know, WOBA is typically like a 310 to 320 kind of number. He's up at 381. If you go back to Savant, that ex WOBA of 374 is in the 94th percentile in Major League Baseball. Um, only 1 in 20 hitters are doing it better than him right now. Um, his weighted runs created plus 155. That number is ridiculously high. Um, and like I said, he put up 8 FWAR last year. It's just the guy is so unbelievably talented, and to be able to run him out there, I guess, I'll show you. This man posts, he plays 159 games a year. I'm sure he's going for 162. And Brandon Hyde has to like make him take a day off every once in a while. Um, but he goes out there and he puts up this type of performance every day all year, and that's just who he is and what he does. He in 2023 we were all thrilled with what we saw. He hit 28 bombs. Um, like was still 23% better than league average as a hitter. And he put up 5 FWAR. That's an all-star player. That's an all-star player. People usually look in like the 4 to 6 range for all-stars. So, as in his first full season, he's putting up almost 5 FWAR, and he just continues to improve. And so now you look at him and it's like the dude is still only 23. What could he really be? It's just difficult to wrap your mind around it. Um, and I think that nobody would be surprised if he comes out and hits 40 this year. He had 37 home runs last year. We saw a couple cold spells. We see the swing and miss. If he cleans up like any of that, if he just is in better shape throughout the year, whatever it is, he'll hit 40 home runs. He will be an MVP candidate again. The guy's incredible. Um, and so, we go ahead and we do this and we say, like, how do the Orioles look at shortstop is kind of the root of the question here for us. And the Orioles look as good at shortstop as anybody in the major leagues. I said I was going to pull up some projections per Zips. Gunnar Henderson is essentially tied with Bobby Witt for projected WAR this season. Per Zips with the depth chart projections. Both of them are projected. Well, Witt for 6.3, Gunner 6.2. By Steamer, Witt 7.3, Gunner 7.1. Um, I'm just clicking through these, and there's like almost no separation between them on next to anything. On the bat, which is a very offensive-minded projection source, Gunner's actually projected for a half WAR more. By Oopsie, Bobby takes the lead again. But the one thing that I was clicking around for and I saw here was for Zips in 2026, Gunnar Henderson is projected to be more valuable than Witt. 6.1 F4 is what's listed here. By Zips in 2027, Henderson again edges him out by 1/10 of a WAR. I think that this just kind of speaks to, and I guess something that I'll say about that is like Gunner's K rates drop each of those years. I think, like Gunner is still moving forward. He is still on the upswing, and he, excuse me, is very much still like a work in progress. And that's, ludicrous to think of. Bobby gets the edge in all of these based on his defense, and that's totally fair. Gunner is not as good of a defender. If instead of just filtering these projections by WAR, and you instead look at WRC plus, for example, well, this was not what I anticipated. Mookie Betts actually jumps up to first for basic Zips. Gunner is ahead of Bobby Witt Jr., very slightly ahead of Fernando Tatis, Corey Seager. Uh, but if you keep going and you keep doing this, per Steamer, Gunner is projected for the highest WRC plus. Gunner is projected by Fangraphs depth charts for the highest WRC plus. Gunner is projected for the number two per ATC. Gunner is projected for number two by the bat. It's like I could keep clicking through these and reading these to you. You can go do it for yourself, but universally regarded as one of the most exciting players in baseball. He is only 23 years old. Everything and everyone expects him to continue progressing. We have seen the work ethic for ourselves. We have seen the angry bat toss when he walks. This dude has the mentality, has the aura, has everything about him to be a superstar in the game of baseball. And it is now that I stop for 1 second and say one of the coolest things about him that has nothing, well, I mean, it has something to do with his on-field performance, but it's not about numbers. It's not about Eli reading statistics. I mentioned Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens is also doing this very cool thing. Ellie De La Cruz is doing this very cool thing, and Gunnar Henderson is doing this very cool thing. They're going to be on the cover of MLB The Show. This is an honor, that is given to the faces of baseball: Bryce Harper, Shohei Ohtani, Vlad Guerrero Jr., Fernando Tatis Jr. Like the elite of the elite, who are also personalities. Not to say Skeens is a personality. Skeens is kind of boring. Gunner can be boring, but he's very exciting on the field. Uh, and I do mean that in a personality sense on the field. He's intense, he shows fire. I think that like having an Oriole on the cover of MLB The Show is this super like it's not a big deal. Um, but there's a certain amount of just and what's interesting is I think this goes for the other two teams represented on this year's cover. Ellie, Paul Skeens, and Gunnar Henderson are sharing the cover. The Pirates, the Reds, and the Orioles are not like these big market teams who have a ton of support and get the faces of their players out there all the time. That's just not who this is. So you look at the Orioles and you say, like, wow, this is our guy, and he's being put in this very public space as a face of baseball. And that's a really, really cool thing. That's something that I don't think Manny Machado quite achieved while he's with us. Cal Ripken certainly was a face of baseball for many, many years. But, like the people that we have loved most over the last 10, 15 years, Adam Jones, Brian Roberts, like kind of making our way back, Melvin Mora, Tejada, even by the time he was with us. Like these guys were, Tejada might have been to an extent, but these guys were not like among the true superstars of the game. Um, and so like to go ahead and just be in this position where we have this guy 2 years into his career, absolutely dominating to an extent and just kind of like inspiring to an extent to where some random company says, that is the guy we want on the face of our video game. That's a cool thing. And it speaks to the kind of, let's say, like gravitas he is starting to carry. He is starting to just have this aura around him where, people are like, oh, that's Gunnar Henderson. We're going up against Gunnar Henderson today. We are like going to the stadium to watch Gunnar Henderson today. He is that guy. Um, and yeah, he embodies it. He puts so much pressure on himself. We have seen it. He gets furious, and I think that's like probably a part of what contributed to his defensive struggles last year. Once he fell into a bit of a rut, like heightened a bunch of pressure on himself. I think that's like, that speaks to the type of person that Gunnar Henderson is. Like I don't know him personally, but as a baseball player, the type of person that he is, he carries his passion with him. He is excited to be competing on any given day. Um, he's just a special dude. And, it's almost like this podcast episode does not even need to cover another player. Like I could tell you Jackson Holiday will probably play some shortstop this year for like a game. Maybe Jordan Westberg will play a game. Maybe Jorge Mateo will play a game. Maybe one of those guys will even get two games. But they really mean nothing when you look at the picture of the Orioles shortstop position this year. Like our depth is not going to be used. But well, man, I don't know if you can hear that. I am knocking on wood. Our depth will not be used given Gunnar Henderson's pristine health, assuming that he is all okay throughout the entire season. The only thing that could make any of our depth pieces be used is Brandon Hyde shackles Gunnar Henderson to the radiator in the clubhouse, or he gets hurt. Those are the only two ways this dude is not taking the field. And that is like what a team leader is. That is somebody who will be there for your team every given day. Um, and you have to be like so thankful and so just like appreciative of the fact that he's here. Because man, there's almost nobody like him in the entire game of baseball. So yeah, just like, you know, I guess I should give some numbers. I've been like speaking in very general terms this whole time. Excuse me. You guys know who Gunnar Henderson is, and he's awesome. Um, but yeah, I guess to just like point some of it out, yeah, again, he hit 281, 364, 529. By WRC plus, weighted runs created plus, he was worth about a player and a half, actually a little bit more than a player and a half. Um, that is, like a normal MLB player, he is worth one and a half. And that is pretty good, just to like speak very bluntly. Um, to talk like to some of these percentile rankings from Baseball Savant, the nice bright red sliders, X Woba I talked about 94th percentile, expected batting average 93rd percentile, expected slugging percentage 92nd, average exit velocity 94th, barrel percentage 76th, hard hit rate 97th, bat speed 96th, a hard swing. For those who aren't aware of the bat tracking metrics, a hard swing is considered 75 miles an hour or above. Gunnar Henderson's average swing, it's not like the absolute best he can do. It's just like his bat speed is 76.3 miles an hour. He just swings the crap out of the bat every single time he walks up there. He swings as hard as he can. And some of you like who are not in the mindset of some of the, newer wave of just hit the ball as hard as you can, would say, well, maybe he should slow it down a little bit and he wouldn't be whiffing so much. If he slows that down a little bit, this hard hit percentage where he is hitting the ball over 90 miles an hour, I'm sorry, over 95 miles an hour, 54% of the time, that goes way down. This is a dude who has a really strong approach. He finds his pitches. Um, the one thing I can point out, he dominated breaking balls this year. Yeah, a 708 slugging percentage against breaking balls this year. He hit 19 home runs against them. That is over half of the home runs he hit. He finds his pitches and he swings as hard as he can. um, and he does damage. He is again one of the most elite players in the entire game of baseball because of his ability to do this. He gets his A swing off. He does not get cheated. Um, I've got the spray chart up here. It's just all fields power. He's one of very few people to hit a home run over Mount Baltimore. Uh, Man, it's just so pretty. I'm gonna play the video for the people on YouTube because it's just gorgeous. This Andres Munoz pitch, 98 miles an hour. Gunnar puts it over Baltimore. We won't be able to see that anymore. He will continue. I think it was him and like James Outman from the Dodgers were the only lefties to put it out over the deepest part over there. So I think I've talked enough. Like running almost a 900 OPS throughout an entire season. Once again, like worth one and a half players offensively is just a ridiculous concept. But it's, if you are trying to get everybody in your lineup to be worth league average, that is like you've got nine guys of value in your lineup. Gunnar Henderson is one and a half of them already. So you can have a Jorge Mateo, you can have Jackson Holiday struggle a little bit, and your lineup will still be up at league average. Obviously, we know the Orioles bang everybody in the lineup is above a league average hitter projected this year, which is a ludicrous thing to say. Um, but it like this is the kind of guy who carries a team. This is the guy who gives you wiggle room. This is the guy who allows you to chase something else in a different area. If you wanted to, like, if we were the Guardians, I hope and pray that we are never the Guardians. But if we were ever acting like the Guardians, this is our Jose Ramirez that allows you to get like, I don't know, Jimenez at second base, who's a wonderful defender, and that's great, but he can't hit. Um, but you can take that because he'll provide plus defensive value, and your lineup can absorb the hit a little bit because that guy is there. Uh, Gunnar Henderson is that guy, and we get him for a long, long time. I am staring at Savant still, and I'm looking at this other thing. There's batting run value, there's fielding run value, but then in the middle, there's base running run value. Gunnar Henderson is one of the most valuable base runners in all of baseball. And, like he had 21 steals last year. This, like, that number does not capture, right, what Gunnar Henderson does as a base runner. I'm going to try to scroll real quick and find it. Okay, I'm losing my mind. I didn't get it on a quick scroll, but so this batting run value, what it does is or I'm sorry, this base running run value, it goes ahead and actually evaluates you. Oh, there we go. I got it. It evaluates you in more ways than simply just, stolen bases. Like when the more uh when the more experienced crowd talks about, like value on the bases, they're talking about taking the extra base. They're talking about, like just advancing when you can, finding little ways to just go that extra little step. That's what Gunnar Henderson does, right? So you look at this here, um, StatCast evaluates everything in terms of run value. This is basically like you have an expected runs for any given configuration. Um, so like a runner on first, one out, and a 0-0 count, that has a like expected run value, so to speak. That position itself is the run value of it is kind of eh, the chance you have of scoring a run. That's the simplest thing to say. So like if your base is loaded and nobody out, you are expected to score very, very close to a run, you know, 99 to 100% of the time you'll score a run. So that would be about one, might be even higher if you have a more likely chance, or like, you likely could score two or something like that. So these run values are calculated by basically like taking the difference between one play and another and adding them up over the course of the season. So when they say like runs via extra bases, Gunnar Henderson had 3 runs via extra bases. And what that means is so many times, he would go ahead and, we'd see a single into right field and he would take off and you would see him make the turn. He's going to third base regardless. It doesn't matter. Um, that aggregates value. That aggregates the amount of runs that you're expected to score over the course of a year. And that's what, Savant is trying to do here is like cover that and quantify it. Um, so it's like it's very simple. Henderson was elite. He was elite. He was the 94th percentile. He takes extra bases. He also was 21 out of 24 in stolen bases. So he does not get thrown out. He doesn't add negative value. He's not reckless out there. He's not just trying to run and saying, screw the consequences. He is smart. He's cerebral. And he's very fast. Like the sprint speed is 88th percentile. Like only 1 in 10 guys in baseball are faster than him. Um, this dude just does it all. And, if his fielding does kind of smooth out. I don't even really want to say get better because a lot of the places where he lost value in this sense, where he struggled last year, were all centered around 1 month or two where he made like 6 errors. We saw this, and I think I even covered it in our like season review of last year's shortstop position, because it's all about Gunnar Henderson. I'm saying the same stuff, but um, yeah, like if he just maintains a steadier level of performance, has a bit less pressure on himself, then this is one of the most complete players in baseball at one of the most valuable positions on the diamond. It's very, very simple. There are very few people who have the long-term outlook that Gunnar Henderson has. Um, and that's why, I made a joke about $700 million earlier. That's what it's going to be. I hate to say it like that, but the Orioles' time to extend him was in his first season in 2022, or the year after in 2023, his first full season. There was just like after he does what he just did, there's no way to sign this guy. There's no way to extend him. He is going to go and, barring some catastrophic interruption of his career trajectory, he's going to go and like have a very, very good shot at being a Hall of Famer. He's going to hit free agency, I guess, at probably 27 years old, 26 or 27. Um, and he's going to be a force, for another 8 years. Um, this is who this guy is. He is a legend in the making, and we are witnessing in real time. So enjoy it, celebrate this year, celebrate Gunnar Henderson. Um, and yeah, just be ready. Like watch the moments and like savor them a little bit. When he hits his 40th bomb, remember that because the Orioles, like Tony Taters did it last year, and we admittedly had like 3 separate guys hit 40 bombs during the 2010s, I guess. So maybe it's not that unique, but for like uh, in the general sense, it is not a common thing for people to hit 40 bombs. In fact, I think this is a good one. The San Francisco Giants have not had somebody hit 40 home runs since Barry Bonds was on the team. So just because the Orioles have been spoiled by Chris Davis, Mark Trumbo, Nelson Cruz, uh, do not let that, like cloud your vision on what 40 home runs means. And even if we get it for the second year in a row, Anthony Santander last year, it still means something. It is still special. If Gunnar Henderson starts running it up towards 50, then that's legendary stuff. So I definitely just like just enjoy it. We are not going to have this guy forever. The Orioles are not shelling out close to $1 billion for a player. It's just not going to happen. Um, but we do have him now, and he is who he is because of this team, because of this system. He was somebody who like scouts knocked for taking really ugly swings in college or in high school sometimes. And he was kind of falling down draft boards, and the Orioles said, "Man, we can work with that," and we did. And he's here. He is like so much more than he was supposed to be. Um, so yeah, just enjoy this. Enjoy the fact that he's on this team. He is like the centerpiece of what is, one of the most exciting positional groups in all of baseball. And I in this one I'm biased. I think one of the more exciting teams in all of baseball, period, not just looking at the positional group, but like, man, the team is so good. And we've talked about the rotation, but the bullpen coming together, Felix coming back, like, two guys who can chuck 100 in the back of the bullpen if Soto starts doing it again. Three, this is exciting stuff. It's just fun. Um, and man, we're gonna have some fun watching it this year. I think that's all I got for you. Um, I'm glad I did say the names of Jordan Westburg, Jackson Holliday, Jorge Mateo because like sure they could play shortstop this year, um, but I think just saying their names about covers them in this context. They will have more time during the third base and second base episodes, and we will give that to them. That said, yeah, this is Gunnar Henderson's episode, and that's all I got for you. My name's been Elijah. As always, if you could follow the show, subscribe to the show, like the show, rate the show, comment on the show, we do appreciate that. That helps us grow. That helps us reach more people like you. We love talking about this stuff. Even though I said I picked the easy episode, I have gone longer than I wanted to because, man, like, how can you not? It's Gunnar Henderson. It's Gunnar Henderson. Yeah, I mean, we love this stuff. We want to keep doing it. We did it for free for many, many, many years. Um, but now we are trying to build a little bit of ad revenue and keep growing ourselves. So if you have not yet, once again, please follow the show, subscribe, like, comment, rate, whatever you can do to support. We are very grateful. You can catch us over on Blue Sky at the Warehouse Pod. You can catch us. Um, you can email us, thewarehousepod@gmail.com. We are, generally in the places we're available. Come reach out, come chat with us, and we'd love to hear from you, as always. Thank you for listening. This has been the Warehouse Podcast. I'm going to watch Gunnar Henderson take Paul Skeens deep tomorrow. Let's go, O's.